Yeah, that's right. It's the BKBK podcast, and we are back. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm here with fellow co-hosts, Captain Kyle McKenna, Brian Taylor, and unfortunately, Kerry Taylor could not be here with us, but he's always here with us. He's Team BKBK. He's here with us in spirit, and we'll check him out again next week. So today is the first game of the season for the New York.
It was.
I didn't even get to finish my sentence, and Brian is just like gasping. My goodness.
We played 3 quarters. Does that basically sum it up?
Yeah.
Mosley got hurt, and we lost the game.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm gonna abandon my read because I just love the way Brian started. So keep it going, baby.
Listen,
it's such a frustrating sounding. We're all frustrated.
Yo, it's like we said last week. I'm annoyed, and on the back it says I'm a Jets fan.
Exactly. That's the first thing I
the
thought.
epitome of what today was all about, where you really felt good, came out there. The offense didn't do a lot, so I was a little nervous about that. Yeah. But we're gonna have a new kicker next week. Right, definitely that, because there's 4 points missing that could have won us the game there too. So I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. But at the end of the day, for the defense to play as hard as they played for 3 quarters and then come out when Mosley got hurt, I saw him tweak something when he walked off the field after knocking down that pass, and I was like, that's going to be a problem for us because now our 2 inside backers are both down. Williamson out for the year, and who knows the extent of this groin injury.
Yeah. And leadership was down too. Like
absolutely,
the field generals are like not there. So
right
we lost one in the preseason.
Yeah. Yep.
And we lost the other one
in first game.
And he was all over the place.
He
was all over that field. He picked the ball off. He takes it to the house. He's making tackles. He's batting down passes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Single coverage on running backs coming out of the backfield, deflecting the ball in the end zone.
All over the place.
And I'm just like, look at this guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
He deserves to be the highest paid linebacker in the league.
Well spent.
Money well spent. And then now this. But hey, it's football. He walked off on his own power. Hopefully to tweak it. It's not it's not like he's torn off the bone. So we'll just have to see. I mean, but this is bothersome, man. It really is.
It's weird when you get soft tissue injuries that late in a game too. Where everybody's warm. So they've been playing the whole game.
Yeah.
It must have with groin sometimes though. Like your body goes one way and your leg kind of stays the other. Just like when people hurt knees and stuff like that. So he may have tweaked it in that way. Like planting or something like that. He kind of, like you said, he kind of was awkward in that pass coverage.
Right. His
body was kind of like splayed out. It was amazing play. I mean, you don't see linebackers make plays like that.
Yeah.
And coverage, especially guys that play usually inside.
He didn't even have his head turned around either. Not to step on you, Kyle, but he didn't even have his head turned around. He just saw, I guess, the guy put his hands out, and then he put his arm out, whatever, and was able to knock it down and prevent the touchdown.
He used what he was looking at as the visual cue to get his hands
right.
up. And he didn't just get it up. He got it up and kind of batted it down.
Right.
It was pure instinct, Great acquisition, basically.
There's a big thing now. Face guarding is not a penalty anymore on all levels. Whereas it used to be like if you face guarded somebody like that, you get penalized for it. But now you can face guard and react off the ball. So, yeah, very, very unfortunate, but very high level play up to that point. Like they were saying on the broadcast, he'll probably be defensive player of the week for the AFC East just for the 3 quarters. So.
Exactly.
I'd vote for him.
Ridiculous. I mean, and Le'Veon looked good too.
Le'Veon did look good.
First game in 600 some odd days or whatever. And he looked excellent. He had 17 carries for 60 yards. He also caught 6 passes for 32 yards and a touchdon. The hands were there, man. Excellent.
And he blocked well on pass coverage too.
I didn't check it out, but I take your word for it. There.
He did.
Why didn't we use him on the second to last drive at all?
I don't know.
Why was he MIA? I just don't understand that either. You have such a huge weapon. We had, I don't know, a couple of minutes left in the game at that point. How do you not use him out of the backfield against a linebacker one-on-one? Our O-line was terrible.
Terrible. It was they were porous, and this was the first week that they have been able to practice together as the starting unit throughout all of camp.
Right.
And this is
It showed.
from July, folks. So we started camp, I believe it was July 26th. So this is the first time this week of practice.
Right.
And listen, yes, they're pros. They should be able to, but listen, we're all human beings too. We need that time together to especially the O-line, to be a cohesive unit.
Yep.
And they just had no time to do that. So, yes, did they play poorly today? Yes, they did. I felt like the best blockers were the running backs in the backfield who were picking up, the blitzes like Le'Veon. I thought he did well there as well. But the O-line played terribly. I felt like Le'Veon Bell, because of he's just naturally great. He always made the first person miss.
Yep.
But if it was a different type of back, honestly, if it were Montgomery in the backfield, he'd be getting 2 yards a clip.
Right.
Because Bell made the first guy miss and then would get another 3.
Perfect example was that 4th down where we needed it late in the game.
Yeah.
And he was able to shed that tackle and get the first down or whatever, barely, but he got it, which was great. So, but Le'Veon did well. Crowder, excellent.
Did well. By the way,
I saw him.
I saw you scoop Crowder on the waiver wire. I did. That dude cut him. I was like, what? I think 17 attempts, 14 receptions, and 99 yards.
Wow, that's crazy.
You're talking about that was
Crowder's line.
Yeah. 17 targets.
17 targets. Yes.
Yeah, I picked him in fantasy thinking that was going to happen because he was very like a ball hawk in Washington.
Yes.
Even when he wasn't the number one receiver, he had the ball coming to him a lot. He was definitely a bright spot. Robbie Anderson was a little bit, we keep hearing Robbie Anderson advertised as the do everything Robbie Anderson. And what did we see? The deep threat Robbie Anderson, not really.
But listen, Darnold missed him. It wasn't a good game.
Twice.
He did miss him.
Twice.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good game by Darnold. And I would say probably 3 times. I saw 3 attempts there. And
Robbie had him beat on 2 of those 3.
Easily.
And the other one, I think he just needed to just position his body to potentially get it. But
he underthrew him 3 times.
Yes, he did.
Darnold underthrew him 3 times. And I'm going to say this, and I said it in the chat, and nobody kind of responded to it. Check Darnold out. He doesn't step into his throws. A lot of time he's flat-footed, and he's throwing kind of almost falling away. I see it a lot. I've been watching this dude a lot, and I don't like that aspect of it because you saw it in a couple of those throws with Robbie Anderson where he underthrew him because it's all arm, it's all shoulder, and it's not.
Yeah, he's very dependent on having a strong arm.
Yeah,
we saw it in the off-season workouts, the OTAs. There was one clip that we saw where he just totally armed to throw. It was amazing in the arm strength that he has, but if that's the way you're going to always do it, you're not going to be throwing in the league for a really long time.
Actually,
that will go away.
That touchdown pass to Bell was actually one of those arm throws. He was actually jumping back a little bit and threw it. And I think what will allow him to fall back into those not so good habits is having a porous line. And if he had more confidence in the line, which he could not have today because he was under pressure a lot, when quarterbacks step into throws, it's usually because they have time to do so. And then when they don't, it's usually when they kind of don't have the time to do so. And then you start creating bad habits. So I don't know. I'm still trying to read Darnold as far as is it because the line is porous or is it because he just has that bad habit that he just needs to kick? So, but it's always better to step into your throws, as what Brian was saying.
I think it's a habit because I've seen that in the preseason. I saw it last year. I see it this year. He looks like one of those old Army toys where your feet are glued together. You know what I'm talking about, right? The little Army soldiers. You had to play with him. You had to go like this.
Yeah,
you had to go. That's what he looks like. He's planted this way as opposed to being in a offensive position where you're like this. He's like this, straight up and down, and then just throwing it without anything coming from your bottom half.
Exactly. And then, just speaking on what you're saying, I think he would have made a couple of those deep throws to Robbie Anderson if he stepped through it, right? So.
Well, one of them was an overthrow.
Yeah.
Yes, one was an overthrow. So, Brian and I, we said that there were 3 throws that he missed, but 2 of them were he needed to step. Underthrown. Yeah. And then the one wasn't over.
Exactly.
So.
Got to make those plays, man. I mean, if you're going to be the guy,
Yeah.
you know, that we talk about 80% of the time because you're our franchise quarterback. You have to make those throws. You have to make those plays because the opportunities don't come around very often. We didn't score a lot of points. We scored
especially against that defense.
Yeah, we
That's
scored
a really good defense.
10
man.
offensive points.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day. Go ahead, Kyle. I think you're about to say something.
Yeah, I think that the underthrown one to Robbie Anderson was a PI, in my opinion, but it was at that point in the game where if you had challenged that, you wouldn't have had the timeouts when it goes in. You might have lost one of those timeouts. I think that I'd like to see him a little bit more throwing outside of the pocket, like we like to do with him last year. He throws really well on the run.
Sure.
But also, I think that as bad as we feel the O-line played, I think you got to give some credit to how good the defense of Buffalo played, especially their front seven. They deflected a lot of passes.
I think I counted 5. I didn't go back and count it, but just off the top of my head, I think it was at least 5 tipped or deflected balls just at the line of scrimmage, not even the pass defenses that the DBs made. And that's a lot.
Very, very disruptive. And, you know, I'm on my Ed Oliver thing, but I did watch him very closely in this game, and he may not have a whole lot of stat lines. He tackled either Bell or Crowder outside of the numbers on one of those screen passes.
Okay.
Pursued from the nose all the way out there and made the tackle. And I think he had a half sack, 3 tackles, but he was double teamed the whole game. He forced the double team. He did not look like as much of a rookie as Quinnen Williams did to me. And they didn't even start Quinnen Williams, which I don't really get that. McClendon got the start. Not so sure about that.
Well, I'll tell you what.
What do you think that's about?
I think maybe they're just giving it to the veteran. Maybe they do feel like Quinnen is still trying to learn more, which is fine. Everyone has their different rate of growth. But also, not only did Mosley leave the game, but so did Quinnen. Quinnen tweaked his ankle, and he left the game early too, so he didn't get a chance to really, develop a stat line for himself as far as what he was doing. But there was a play couple plays, he pushed the lineman all the way back, almost had a sack, and another time he started up the middle and then went to his left and came around the corner and then was tripped up, and he would have had that sack because Josh Allen was breaking out to his right and then had to redirect himself once he saw Quinnen, and Quinnen fell down. So I was like, dag, you would have had something, But I hear what you're saying about Oliver. I mean, I just still wholly believe in Quinnen Williams, and I just want to keep giving that kid a chance. So hopefully he'll be able to play this coming Monday. We'll have an extra day because our next game is Monday Night Football against the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
And, let's get these guys in the training room. Let's get them treatment, and let's get them back on the field, both of them, Mosley and Q. We'll see what's up, Yeah, I mean, also what we really need to talk about as far as being frustrated and talking about this game, we need to talk about our kicking game.
Terrible.
That right there. Like, we can talk about Sam throwing off his back foot, the line being porous or whatever. Either way, they were still competitive in this game.
Right.
It's a division rival, so those games are always more competitive regardless how bad a team stinks. Like, we're probably going to play like this against Miami, and Miami stinks. So, it's one of those divisional rivals.
I hope not, man. They just got lambasted.
they did, but I'm just saying, you just never know.
Yeah, division. I hope not, man. I hear you though. I hear you. But
I mean, as long as we have a W on top of that struggle, that's what I'm saying. But either way, you can look at it either way. But the thing that lost us this game, all right, is the fact that we missed a field goal.
Yeah, what was that?
I'm sorry. It was like a yawn and a cough. It was like a yawn and a cough together.
A yawn?
As soon as it happened, I was like, "Yeah, there's no way I'm getting away with that one."
Kyle,
a yaff.
Kyle Hassel Yoff.
Oh shoot!
So
you're gonna meme me now.
Oh, forget it. Hey, listen, we all get hours on this show.
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
We all get hours. So it's just a rotation of time.
I'm gonna be an Instagram drop.
Yeah.
Watch out for it. But yeah, man. Listen.
Yeah.
4 points.
Yeah.
4 points, and we talked about it so many times
Yeah.
on this podcast, just the kicking game, Jason Myers. It's terrible to really. We were talking about it just last week, man. It's like, yeah, listen, I'll pay whomever as long as you put it through the uprights, man. I really don't care at the end of the day. And obviously, this dude can't put it through the uprights, and it's all mental.
Yeah.
To me, they were talking about the hold and the snap and this, and I was like, the dude just missed it.
He missed it,
and not so much the 3 points, because what was that, like a 50-yarder or something?
I think it was a 45-yarder.
45-yarder.
It was 45.
I thought
The extra point is where it's like,
unforgivable.
If you can't hit that, it can't work.
No, and it kept breaking to his left, both of them, both misses, and he was having that issue during warm-ups as well. They were saying so. It's a mental thing, man. He keeps kicking it more to the left, and they were even saying, "Oh, well, this one, hopefully he can make this one because he's set up on the right hash mark, and he's been pulling the ball left." And he still missed it.
So why did we pick this guy up? Because my point is, and then I know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So what? Baltimore gets a 5th rounder for him.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. From Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
Yeah.
Then so Minnesota has draft capital invested in this kid.
Yeah.
And they keep him for a couple of weeks, a cup of coffee, and then let him go. Say, forget about the 5th. We can't develop this kid. So we pick him up. And our guy wasn't that great either.
Yeah.
But he was better than the 0 for 2 and the 0 for 3 or 4, 1 for 4 he was with Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Joe Douglas, this is, at least from that perspective is on you. Obviously prior to that, he had nothing to do with Myers being let go.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know who you get at this point. I go with some sort of veteran. Janikowski, somebody who's on the street and wearing a pair of jeans right now. We need to scoop him up and put him out there.
Yeah, and pay him.
I gotta imagine there's the 34th best kicker in the world is better than the guy that we put on the field today.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line about it.
Yep.
Whether he's 50 years old or 23. Can I get the 35th best kicker in the world? Maybe the 36th.
Sure.
It's not like every team's carrying 2. Some teams carry 2. Maybe their punter kicks off or something like that.
Right.
But it's really for a professional franchise to be going into the 4th quarter, and the people broadcasting the game saying you legitimately can't even kick an extra point with this guy.
Yeah.
And I said in the chat, if they hadn't scored the touchdown, we probably would have gone for it on 4th down, rather than kick a field goal in that position. So
terrible.
It's terrible. And then we go for 2. And it wasn't like like coaches have the card that says, you go for 2 with this point differential. We weren't in a go for 2.
No, we deliberately went for 2 because we didn't have confidence.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And here's what made this kicker hot. It was the fact that last year he was kicking well in Baltimore, in the Baltimore camp, and then they decided to go with their veteran kicker. I think it's Tucker. And they released him or maybe put him on the practice squad, one or the other. And then he came back into 2019 with a little buzz about him. And that's why this kicker went for a 5th rounder, because the league was buzzing around him, but no one had an opportunity to grab him. And since they went with their veteran kicker again, they were like, oh, let's take a chance on this guy. And then he goes to Minnesota and stinks it up. And they're like, wait, what the heck is this? All right, well, you got to go.
Right.
You're just a kicker. We can't waste space on you.
Yeah.
You have to be able to get it through the uprights. And then I honestly think that the Jets made a good decision in trying to get him. Maybe it was a change of environment or whatever. But you know what? I was wrong. Douglas was wrong. And a lot of us Jet fans were wrong, because we knew that we needed a kicker. Our kickers stink. And we're still basically wishing we had Jason Myers back.
Steve Levy and Craig Rubenstein are out there. So
they're available.
Yeah. Let's go to Baldwin and get these kickers, man. Darius too, man. Any one of these guys, man. Let's get this guy. Oh my goodness. So
Tremaine Johnson, can we talk about him for a second?
Yes.
Looking
all slow and thick out there. Supposed to be a cornerback.
when your number one cornerback leads your team in tackles, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That means they're picking on you
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? And you saw the cushion that he was giving people
because he's not confident in his hamstring.
in his wheels,
Yeah.
right?
In his wheels, well, and because of his
And his-
hamstring.
Well, I mean,
You
I
know?
think abilities. Anyway, this was the same thing we saw last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost disinterested.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's funny because there was a play when the wide receiver dragged across the field and ran away from him, like we see all the time.
Yep.
Anyway, last year was the same thing as what we saw in Game 1. Everybody else, from the cornerback, safeties, whatever, was hugged up on their man, except for him.
Right.
Everybody else, they were right in their hip pocket or whatever, except for Tremaine Johnson, where he was 5'6". All you had to do was run away from the guy. And he's like, all right, man, I guess it is what it is, man.
Well,
I'll catch you when I can.
if I can.
If I can.
Well, all right, listen, you guys texted me, and you, jerk, Brian, let's get a single of him. Let's get a single of this jerk right
That's
here.
right, yeah.
All right, audience at home, I'm going to admit it. He texted me, right? And we're in our BKBK chat group here. And he texted me, and Le'Veon was playing very well during the game.
Sure.
And he's like, yo, B, you still don't want Le'Veon? You know? because honestly, you know, before we got him, and I'm sure you guys can check the archives of the show.
You wanted to put him in the toilet.
Yeah, I did. I didn't want Le'Veon. I didn't want him at all. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't think that he was a team-oriented type of guy. And I associated that type of behavior also with like what we're seeing now with Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
And that type of behavior, and I wanted no parts of it. And I'm a locker room type of guy, you know, and I feel like I can diagnose locker room cancer when I see it. But in this instance, I was 100% wrong, okay? And I'm looking right into the camera, 100% wrong.
That's right.
And I'm so happy that we have Le'Veon Bell, and I'm glad that we satisfied him by paying him the money that we're paying him as well. I'm happy to have this dude on the team, and I'm watching this dude on the field, and I'm like, he's making people just miss, and there's no room to run. So, and it's not even just that. Just all through camp, he was just proving it to me week after week, week after week. He's a little eclectic, right?
Say sorry.
But
say sorry.
I'm sorry.
So sorry.
Turn into a musical, right?
Yo, you don't have to take on this burden all alone. I was kind of wary about the fact that if we were going to invest a lot of money in him, that he could get suspended again and be out the mandatory year. So
sure.
it's not. You aren't the only one, Brandon. I'm gonna run to your defense here a little bit, but I'm happy. I'm happy that he's here now.
You know that.
Oh, show.
And that was my thing back then in the conversation, and it came to fruition here, right?
Yeah.
Two separate issues.
Yeah.
Le'Veon was about the money, which any athlete should be.
Yes.
Who's at his level.
Yeah.
I want to get paid. I want to get paid X. You want to pay me Y. Yeah. Or with any employer-employee relationship, if you don't want to get paid that amount of money, you find another employer, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he had the ability to do that.
It's business.
But AB was about, like, what's wrong with this dude?
I don't know. He's a head case.
We're
man.
transitioning. I mean, I don't have the complete timeline, but you force your way off of the Steelers at the end of the day. How good does Tomlin look as a coach at this point, based on everything else that's happened? But then recently, obviously, he ends up with Oakland and everything that happened there with the helmet, the cryo, the suspension, the coach. And not going after the coach or whatever. Gruden was what it was, but the general manager and all of that. And then I'm sorry, but then I'm going to then on social media put out the conversation I had with Gruden,
not good,
in a black and white video, right? I'm going to do all of that,
yeah.
right? And then say, just cut me.
Yeah.
So they cut him. He ends up with the Patriots. But then we hear he's been trying to get to the Patriots for like a year.
Wow.
Hold on a second. This is the first time hearing of this.
Yeah.
The timeline, let's go back to the timeline for a second. The timeline was so fast and furious that I looked for like a wrap up, like some sort of like, can somebody give me like a what's happened over the last 24 hours? Because it was so, going all of a sudden he's on the Patriots. He's sitting out until week 2. But now they're saying that he was trying to get to the Patriots the whole time.
Kyle, I have one word for you. Tampering? I mean, it may or may not be, but I think it's worthy of an investigation because he just seemed like he was just waiting. He gets released, and literally, 2 hours later, boop, he's on the Patriots.
I'm trying to look up the actual article that I read, but they said that he hired a social media specialist in order to basically put all of this out there enough where he ends up off of Oakland because they have to release him. And then he ends up with the Patriots after that. The Patriots wanted to trade for him when they, the Steelers traded him. Wow. But the Steelers were like, I'm not going to trade you to the rival. Yeah. Right? The people that we're going to have to go up against in order to get to Super Bowl.
Winning Super Bowls. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not trading them to you.
Right.
Right? But then he still ends up there. Yeah. So you got to scratch your head here at the end of the day, where maybe he felt like as soon as things started to go a little bit left, you know what? I'm going to push it all the way there to end up in the place where I wanted to be in the first place.
And let's not get it twisted here, folks. Antonio Brown has been acting this way for quite some time. Remember, he recorded Tomlin's post-game speech in the locker room.
Right.
How do you do that to your head coach and then post it? I mean, come on, man. It's like, be professional, have respect too, and I think you're forced to walk on eggshells around this guy because if you don't walk on eggshells and then he perceives just one thing that he doesn't agree with or doesn't agree with him, then he's liable to just wreck your whole team. So
I think also that there's a really hard thing to distinguish here with when you have the hard knocks aspect of it. So we're getting the social media posts, we're getting the news reports, and then we're getting this canned up version of the Oakland Raiders training camp on HBO. And what's real and what isn't, because they did a really good job of making it not look that crazy when what we were hearing was absolutely insane. And the whole thing with, well, he's suspended, then he apologizes, then he's not suspended, then release me. I just don't understand what part of it. It gets really into this realm of I don't know what to believe. Right. And that's why when you say something like kind of this was all leading to a Patriots signing, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility because none of it really seems like it's real. And then I watched The Shop. I don't know if you guys watched the episode of The Shop with LeBron James that Antonio Brown's on with Jamie Foxx.
No.
And he actually came off in that looking not like a crazy guy, kind of explaining his situation in Pittsburgh and stuff like that. So I got all these different like things coming in which I'm supposed to interpret where he's at mentally, I guess. And I don't really understand how to interpret any of them.
So the information that I was talking about came from Chris Mortensen. So he reported that Antonio Brown sought advice from social media consultants to accelerate his release from the Raiders. That's on Roto-World right now. So, I mean, or is he the smartest guy in the room? I mean,
thus not making him crazy and just making him a jerk. And we have to realize that there's a difference.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Sometimes, because you're doing things, say, out of the box doesn't necessarily categorize you as crazy.
Right.
Sometimes you're just a jerk. Sometimes you are.
Sometimes you're just a jerk.
Yeah, and we're so quick to just say, oh, I wonder about his mental. Oh, just to kind of almost give him an excuse to kind of say, all right, maybe he's not all 100% there. We can, give him a pause on that. Honestly, with him, I'm not giving him a pause. I'm going to categorize him as a jerk.
Not on the blonde mustache. Definitely not.
Exactly.
That.
It looks
blonde
like
mustache is terrible.
It's sour.
That was terrible.
It's sour.
It looked like Demolition Man.
It looks like
Wesley
caterpillars.
Snipes and Demolition.
Sure, the caterpillar, right?
Yeah. What'd you say, Kyle? Wesley Snipes in the
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. Yeah, it looks like it smelled funny. I didn't like it. Like, what if he had a glass of milk and then chugged it and then took the glass away with that blonde mustache that looked like a caterpillar
leaking out? Like after you stepped on it when you were a kid or something by accident, you rode over it with your bike. Like, God, it's leaking out.
My goodness, gee whiz,
that's terrible.
That's ugh. But yeah, so that's why I remember reading an article, and people were saying, "Thank goodness we got Le'Veon, rather than Antonio Brown. Good move, Jets." And I have to agree with that because, like I was saying in the text to you guys, it's a different energy. They're both different people, and
Sure.
usually, like, great people are kind of a little bit different, a little quirky or whatever.
Sure.
That's why we act, kind of weird.
You
Right?
speak for yourself, buddy.
No, I said no. I'm calling all of us great, so you got to run with me, B. Come
Sure,
on.
okay.
Yeah. I'm calling all four of us great.
That's true.
Oh,
But
man.
he's quirky.
So are you.
Yeah. You're right.
All
You're right.
No, I'm playing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I borderline got sensitive. Nah, I'm playing. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm so happy that we have him, and thanks for going to bat for me, Kyle. But I'd rather have Le'Veon rather than Antonio, because he's a cancer, and I just can't deal with it. And I'm just so glad that we're never even going to try to approach that. And I hope we never try to approach that whole Antonio Brown thing, man. Forget all that nonsense, please.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, that ship is totally sailed. And then also, I think this speaks to, we kind of started talking about it, like the culture as well. Like just giving him a pass, or just because you're great, you can give someone an added pass, even though you're wrecking things. Okay, Antonio Brown is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, but now he's not with the Browns. I think the Browns are worse. I think that locker room is like, what the heck was this whole thing about? We've worked so hard to get to this point, hoping to have this borderline Hall of Fame receiver play with us, and then now he ups and goes. Where does that leave us? Who do we point the finger at? Well, why did we bring him in the first place? Just to stir the pot. You never know. It's a lot of people over there, and people have different thoughts, but it can't be good for the locker room the way that he just abruptly left, and it cannot be good for Carr, who's looking to bounce back and have a quality weapon out there to throw to while he's with the Raiders. So, yeah, I think the Raiders, they're going to be in last in their division, and I think Antonio Brown helped to borderline destroy them.
You know what's was also interesting with The Shop on HBO, and this all predates any of this stuff. He mentioned Randy Moss, like kind of in a negative way, like, I'm not going to be on TV having to get a check from broadcasting when I'm done doing this.
Wow.
Like, I'm getting my money because that's not where I'm going to be. And I thought it was funny that he name checked Randy Moss in particular, because he's going to the place where Randy Moss, I guess, went after other people had stuff to say about how Randy Moss acted. And actually, wasn't Randy Moss at Oakland before he went
He was.
to the Patriots?
He was.
He was
So
before the Pats, yeah.
I don't know if I'm Adam Schefter breaking, putting things together here and breaking news. But I thought it was interesting with that. And let's say he goes to New England now and he acts like a perfect gentleman. That I think even gives more credence, Brandon, to your thought, your conspiracy theory on this. Because why would he act so bugged out in one place and then, or maybe he's going to New England because they let Tom Brady wear the helmet. Who knows?
Maybe
That's why he wants to. He likes the equipment manager at New England.
Funny.
Oh man. Well, I mean, here's the thing. My question is, did he? Because before he said release me, he got the news that his $30 million was no longer guaranteed, and then if you're looking at it chronologically, they nullified the guaranteed statements in the contract, and then he puts out that on IG as far as that whole little soliloquy he wrote, and then he said release me. So maybe that was the one thing that was borderline keeping him, and then you have the Raiders who are protecting themselves. He did do something that was detrimental to the team. Also, I heard that Mayock went out onto the field to talk to Antonio Brown, But then after like maybe a few hours, I heard that that wasn't the case. That Antonio Brown approached Mayock regarding that situation. So because you could have beforehand looked at it like the Raiders kind of wanted to position themselves and be kind of like sneaky with him, go out there, talk to him. They know the type of personality that Antonio Brown has. He's got a more volatile personality, especially when you're talking about his money, and you kind of force that issue. But it looks like Antonio Brown went and spoke to Mayock without Mayock approaching him first about the contract and everything. So it's a whole lot to digest. A lot of it is conjecture. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, it's something to just chew on a little bit.
To me, order doesn't matter. If we are in our jobs and we do that with our superior or supervisor or manager or owner of the whatever it is, we're getting fired.
Yeah.
And it's over. I mean, it has nothing to do with who approached who or what order or we met in the lunchroom or if it was, wherever it was at, we're getting fired. So at the end of the day, that to me doesn't matter. That's his behavior, and he decided as a man to do whatever he decided he wanted to do, and now he's where he wanted to be at the end of the day. But if you wanted to be in New England, then you could have been there anyway. You could have done this and said, "I'm not going to report to Oakland," when the trade went down. And you could have said, "I'm not reporting. I'm just going to retire," or threaten to do whatever you want to do at that point. We're in a position where athletes over the last couple of years in a lot of different sports, basketball, same thing, Anthony Davis as an example, Kawhi Leonard, or what have you, now have the ability, regardless of what's going on in the that's been collectively bargained, right? They're utilizing whatever they can as leverage in order to get to whatever team they want to get to. And I applaud it as long as you're going about it the right way. Threatening your general manager is not the right way.
No, it's the wrong way.
That's the wrong way. But you could have just said, "I'm not going to show up."
If
or,
that is in fact true.
if that's what happened.
that
I
was
mean,
his true
obviously we're not
motivation.
here, so
Right,
allegedly,
right.
if allegedly
Right.
that's what happened, then that's not the right way to go about doing it.
Right.
But you just threaten to hang up your cleats.
Yeah.
Sort of like Le'Veon did. Say, "I'm just going to step away from football and not play for you. I'm just going to not do it, regardless of what contract I got, and you'll get what you want at the end of the day that way."
Right.
It's
It's hard to not see it that way, especially with the history of his behavior.
sure.
So those things add up. And those things will force people to make judgments first, even before hearing the complete facts about it, because you have a history of documented behavior, which is basically negative. So, listen, just not on the Jets.
No,
We
don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need that, and it would ruin Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold is our foundation, and we've already talked about the little things that he has to work on, and imagine having to work on being in a relationship with Antonio Brown on top of that.
I think
Come on, man.
I think it was Derek Carr. I think he's in a better position now.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because regardless, somebody's going to pay that kid. If he ends up leaving the Raiders or if he stays there, he's going to get a check.
He is.
Right? So
I still think he's a good QB.
Yeah, I think he's still good too. I don't think he's great.
No.
But I think he's good.
He's good.
He's an Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
I think he's a tick above Andy Dalton. I think he's better than what's that quarterback in Tennessee?
Oh,
Mariota.
Mariota. I think he's better than Mariota.
Sure.
I think he's a tick above Andy Dalton.
It's like the 17th best quarterback in the league or something,
Oakland played today.
Do they?
What?
Does Oakland play? No. I think they play on Monday
They
night.
play on Monday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. The late game on Monday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, did the Raiders re-sign Keenan Doss, the guy from Hard Knocks that they cut? That was from Alameda. He was one of the last cuts, so I wonder who they filled the Antonio Brown spot with.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be interesting to note. It made for good Hard Knocks.
You know what?
Of,
I'm guilty. I didn't watch one episode of Hard Knocks.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Wasn't interested.
Yeah. I didn't
even
do
with
it.
all this, you weren't interested?
No. I just wasn't. I don't even think I have HBO. It's on HBO, right?
I didn't want to say it, but I don't have HBO. I didn't want to say it. Thanks, B.
I'll put it out there. This stuff is expensive, bro.
Yeah, you know that, dude.
I'm watching Power, though, man. I got stars temporarily on Hulu. You know what I mean?
50 Cent, Hard Knocks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm watching Power all day, but Hard Knocks, maybe not.
I haven't watched any Power, but I don't have stars. So you gotta make choices.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys. So listen, we've talked about the Jets. We've talked about Antonio Brown, and we're gonna talk about something that we haven't spoken about, in a while, and it's basically what tweaks you and what peaks you. So we're going to jump right into our Tweak Me, Peak Me segment of the show.
That's right.
Brian, cue it up. Check out Kyle's head nod. Yeah, here comes Brian's now.
My head nod might be off rhythm because
You got it. Brian made the beat easy to bounce to.
Yeah.
Bounce.
All right, folks.
Bounce.
And you know what, folks at home, too, if you're watching the show, feel free to let us know. Hit us up on Facebook Live, BKBK Podcast.
That's right.
What tweaks you and what peaks you.
That's right.
All righty? About this Jet game or about whatever's on your mind, So who wants to go first on this one?
Are we disqualifying the kicker tweak? Because I think everybody's tweaked by the kicker. So I think that we should put that one to the side.
I think we're so dissatisfied with him that we should have two. And have the kicker be right at the top, and then pick another one.
Yeah, who's your second? It should be the question, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go first.
Go
Jamison Crowder really piqued me. Like I said, I expected that he was going to be good, and in a bad game, he was good right off the bat. So, and again, going back to what we were saying about Darnold, if this was a bad game for Darnold, once we get some things shored up on the O-line, and we run the ball better, I think that there's a lot of positives there. So there's a lot of peaks in that realm. I would say I was most tweaked by the fact that our depth caused us to go from momentum towards winning a game to momentum towards losing one. So as soon as we had to go deep into our roster, things just started to crumble from that point. And that's not to say that Blake Cashman isn't doing a good job, at the level that he's at, but we can't expect to have a Blake Cashman come in and replace CJ Mosley for the productivity and all those things. So I was a little tweaked by the fact that I was also tweaked by the fact that the pressures that Greg Williams was dialing up were not getting to Josh Allen.
Right.
So when you have 6-man pressure coming and the offensive line picks it up and you got man in the defensive backfield, it's not really good for the defense. So I want those things when they're dialed up to have more of an impact, and they didn't late in the game.
Yeah. I hear you.
That's mine.
I'll go next, B, because I see you searching through some stuff. So I'm gonna go with what piqued me first. What piqued me first, CJ Mosley, man. I think it was a great investment. I do think that he will end up being AFC Defensive Player of the Week, unless somebody comes out on Monday night or tonight and like just has an otherworldly game, But you can just see the field general, how great he is. He really just took command. He's not as vocal as say like an Jamal Adams, but his presence is just as formidable as Jamal Adams is.
Sure.
And you just saw him making plays all over the place.
All over.
And you saw the drop-off when he left the field. And I'm just so happy to have him. He replaced Ray Lewis in Baltimore when Ray Lewis left. And now he is here with us, and I see why they stuck with him confidently, especially when they used him to replace Ray Lewis, who is one of the top maybe 3 inside linebackers of all time, and he's a bona fide Hall of Famer. And they confidently stuck with this guy, C.J. Mosley, 4-time Pro Bowler himself, and hopefully he can get to 5 here with us and be an All-Pro with, some wins under his belt and get into the playoffs, man. So I liked him a lot. Now, what tweaks me, we already said the kicker's a given. We need to just fix that, and we need to fix that ASAP. But, as a former lineman, offensive, defensive, high school, college, blah, 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 I tend to look at those things first and examine those things first. And I saw a porous offensive line. I saw a line that just has not gelled. I saw a line that has the potential to be pretty good. I'd say a B minus, has the potential for a B minus line. But I think we played at a D plus level today. I think that we didn't pick up the blitz well enough. I felt like all the stunts and blitzes that the Bills were throwing at us were kind of throwing us off, and that forced Darnold to have to check down a lot. He didn't get a chance to set his feet and to go to the second and third level with his throws, and that's why look at Crowder. Crowder is our slot receiver, working the middle, short routes, and 17 targets, and he had 14 catches. Great job by him. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but I don't necessarily want Sam Darnold, because he's feeling like he's under duress, to have to go to that check down every single time.
Right.
And
I think Herndon coming back helps that. When Herndon comes back after game 4.
Yes, because then we'll have 2. But you know what? You still need time to throw to Herndon as well. Basically, the O-line needs to gel and get better. And honestly, I feel like they didn't even run block that well, because when it was not Bell running the ball, no one else had room. It's just that Bell is special.
Mm-hmm.
He's a special running back.
Right.
So that tweaks me. And this O-line really needs to get it together.
So as far as what my peaks are, I feel like, man, when we get Williamson back, and Mosley back, the defense inside the hashes, and I think on the offense, I think our strength right now, offense and defense, is inside the hashes.
Yeah.
Right. You got the defensive line, you got the linebackers, you got the safeties, excellent, stout on defense. Then on offense, I think, you got Crowder, you got Le'Veon Bell up the middle. When Herndon comes back as well, the middle of the field, we're going to be great.
Our free safety had a good game today.
Absolutely. May had a
May had, and that was really encouraging to see. Since
it was.
He was out.
It was.
Sorry to step on you, but I just had to say that.
So on as far as the Jets is concerned, as far as my peak me, that's what that is. I have a second one. I would say this. Marquise Brown. I was talking about him. I was standing on the table for the kid, like, we need weapons. This dude, first game out, and you really didn't hear anything in the preseason because he was tweaked and whatever else.
Yeah.
But 4 receptions, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns, right? But not only that on Baltimore, to just look at their team for a second, Lamar Jackson, 324 yards passing,
Wow.
5 passing touchdowns. Quarterbacks like him, who come in and they can run and they're athletic and whatever else and throw the ball and do a lot of stuff, in college, get looked at when they transition to the NFL like they can't do the job.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid, they gave him what they could last year, turned them into a playoff team, right? Took him to the playoffs. Yeah. Forget about that, right? The only one in his draft class, same draft class as Sam Darnold, that went to the playoffs last year. Check that, but I think I'm right? Right?
Yeah, because you had Sam, you had Baker,
Allen,
you had Allen, and you have it's 5 of them, and you had Jack.
And Rosen.
And Rosen. Yeah.
Rosen didn't go to the playoffs either.
Right.
Only one that took him to the playoffs, right? Out of that draft class, and they kept on knocking the kid. He can't be an NFL quarterback. And look at him, first game, second year, played better than all the rest of them by far.
Yep.
Right?
You're
by
right.
far. It's against the Dolphins.
One caveat, though. Yes, you're right. Well, then 2 then, because it's against the Dolphins, right?
right.
And then the second one is, I don't think that they were getting on his case just because he's a runner. I think that he lacked accuracy as well, and I think that's the same problems that they were giving to, or the same concerns that they had with Josh Allen and Jamal Jackson. It's not Jamal. I'm bugging out. What's his name again?
Lamar.
I said Jamal. My fault. And Lamar Jackson. It was a question about their accuracy. But I'm happy that he proved them wrong because he's the truth.
Yeah, he won games out there in Louisville. You know, from that perspective. So those are my peak me's. My tweak me's, obviously the kicker.
Yeah.
And the prior GM.
Well, you know,
he got some pluses. He got some pluses today, right? I mean, you know, the roster, how it's constructed, the Le'Veon Bell and Mosley, you know, offensive, defensive. I mean, that's a W for him, right?
Yeah,
Crowder,
but you know,
W's.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
W's.
But you know what? He also lost us the game.
Definitely.
Because he didn't bring back Myers.
Ultimately, he lost us the game
Yeah.
because he didn't bring back Jacoby and Myers.
Funny.
Right?
Funny.
Right. So that's definitely there. But my tweak me outside of that was that going back to the hashes on the defensive side of the ball, outside of the hashes, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
People were running totally free, to Kyle's point, when we were dialing up pressure, and it was just everybody was open all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Josh Allen had a lot of time, a lot of self-inflicted wounds as far as us getting the turnovers and this and that. We didn't get the turnovers in the first half.
Yeah.
What would this game look like? I don't know what the final score would look like, right?
Yeah,
it might have been 34 to 16.
Who knows?
At the end of the day, because they were driving.
They were.
First drive, I was like, are we going to stop them at all?
Yeah.
You know, they looked like
they
the
were
Patriots.
they were tempo. They were going with tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked a little bit more ready to play.
Exactly.
Than we did.
They did. They looked prepared, ready to play. I was like, what's going on? We're going to get them off the field. Then all of a sudden we had a turnover, and we got another turnover. It's 4 turnovers. Get it. But without those, and some of those weren't fluke plays, and some of them were Josh Allen, just, you know, again, unforced turnovers.
Yeah.
But if we go against a team that doesn't make those mistakes, I don't know what we're going to look like.
We're going to look like the Jets playing New England because New England doesn't make those mistakes. Why
Exactly.
do you think they win so much?
Exactly.
And that's why we get our heads kicked off all the time.
We have a lot to do before the next game, fellas.
Yeah, we do.
You know, a lot to do because Cleveland, they are going to come out ferocious because of the fact that they lost. It's going to be Monday night, and they're going to want to make a statement against us.
Yeah.
So we got to be ready.
It's professional football. Everybody's got to be ready. You know, they got to take their job seriously, and they have to fix their mistakes.
Sure.
They got to do.
Yep. And we're not just talking about the players. Like, I think the first thing that needs to happen, because through repetition, the offensive line will congeal. Hopefully they'll congeal enough to the point where they become elite, but that's just wishful thinking. But the front office has to sort out this kicking game, and they need to do it ASAP because this kicking game lost us the game. And we could be sitting here today talking about all the struggles that the Jets had, but also at the end saying, but thank goodness we won.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you only have 16 games in this NFL season. It's not like baseball. It's not like the NBA.
Sure.
You only get 16, so this hurts. And all of these count, and they count a lot.
Yep.
So, Douglas, I like you a lot. I like you way better than McCagnon, but we need to make a concerted effort to really find someone to be able to put something through the uprights because this is as bad as it's looked in many, many years. I don't remember this happening for a long, long time with the Jets. Even if the kicker wasn't, say, that great, but not stinking up the joint like it is now.
Sure.
You know?
Not impossible to go to.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what it was today.
Yeah.
It was impossible to go to.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, guys, listen, we're going to move on to our next bit. We're going to go back to this summer, June 29th, when we had our locational BKBK podcast broadcast.
Yep.
And it was highly successful. And the reason why I'm saying that it's highly successful is because we went there with the motivation of using our platform to assist our old alma mater in getting some exposure and to raise money for our Baldwin Bruins football team. And we're just going to show you how it all worked out. So there it is up on the screen. All righty.
Yep.
Check out those newly refined Baldwin football uniforms.
Look sharp, don't they?
They look sharp. That blue is nice and blue, and that gold makes me want to go to the district and get a couple rings or something.
Shout out to my nephew in the middle of that photo.
Yeah, number 8. Yeah, Aaron Taylor, man, that's Kerry's son, everyone. So
Ocho.
our fourth host, walking around Ocho style, playing wide receiver for the Baldwin Bruins. And
Yeah, he needs to put those knee pads on. This isn't.
yeah,
Come on now.
I
None of
think
those guys look like they have any pads on at all.
all they have is the shoulder pad work, and then everything
Small
else.
shoulder pads. Yes, not like us. We have the big Donzies.
Yeah,
Funny.
we did.
The Donzie thigh pads like Dorian Fisher.
Our broadcast served its purpose. I think it
Yeah.
did a really good job, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. And we love and support our Baldwin Bruins, and they play next week. I think they play their first game of the season next week, and I think it's against Massapequa, I believe.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Good. And then after that,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen, we have the Baldwin Bruins alumni game. You'll see it right there on the screen. The Baldwin Bruins alumni game and cocktail party, which is going to be at the same venue that we used for our broadcast, the Irish Pub in Baldwin on Merrick Avenue. No,
Mhm.
Merrick Road, actually. On Merrick Road.
Merrick
Yeah.
Road.
Merrick Road in Baldwin. So enjoy the game. If you're an alum and you watch the show, it's September 21st at 2 p.m. at home at Baldwin High School, and then after that we'll go to the Irish Pub on Merrick Road and celebrate as well. All right.
Even if you're alumni of Plainview JFK, 1991, Freddie Shotman, come on down.
Come on down.
Freddie Shotman,
Yeah,
where
man.
you at?
Shout him out, huh?
Shouting them out. Totally.
Toads.
Yeah, man. So, since it's the start of the season, I just want to just shout out the Baldwin Bruins and wish them well. Coach
right.
Carroll, both Coach Carrolls, the whole coaching staff and the players, 2 thumbs up, all right? And I hope you guys play well and start off with a big win against Massapequa, all right?
That's right.
Don't follow the Jets, all right? Make sure you start off and try to get that win.
Play all 4 quarters.
In
All
4
right?
quarters.
All 4 quarters. Okay?
4. Yeah, man, All right, folks. So listen, that's what we have for today's episode of the BKBK podcast. Thanks for watching another episode. And we want to be able to bring you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme.
That's right.
So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK podcast fan page. Find us on Twitter at BKBK podcast, Instagram at BKBK podcast as well, and on YouTube. Just type in BKBK podcast. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button so that you can always be privy to our news and broadcasts. And also, if you can't watch us, you want to just hop in the car and listen to us, feel free to go on iTunes or go to BKBK podcast at Podomatic.com. All right, so that's it. Let's go Jets. Let's go Baldwin Bruins. Beat Massapequa this upcoming Saturday. Scalp the
Go Bruins.
Chiefs. And let's go Team BKBK. And we're out.